Hello and welcome again to the Cosmic Prayer broadcast. My name is Laura Topper and we are here on this incredible global focus ministry, New Thought Media Network, doing amazing things on our planet to inspire us with programming just like this, to tap into that deeper knowing of the essence of who we truly are, which is love. And that's why this program is here, this broadcast, The Cosmic Prayer, because each week I invite on an inspirational person to talk about prayer and how prayer affects their lives and how they use prayer and how they teach prayer and how spiritual practice absolutely opens their hearts to love. And that's why this week I'm just so excited and feel honored that Reverend Dr. Damian Calmett has said yes to being here, joining in this conversation, this ongoing conversation. If you look at Reverend Damian's website, one of the first things you're going to see on his homepage is, I am not here to please people, but to push them into being their authentic selves. So powerful. Reverend Damian is a motivational speaker and teacher and guide, and he is a powerful individual presenting himself and these teachings, New Thought teachings, spiritual teachings, to many, many, many people around the planet. Every week for around the past 4 years, I think, Reverend Damian has produced and presented his own broadcast of Now with Damian Calmett, and that's on YouTube and Facebook. And around 6 months ago, I'm not sure how long it was exactly, when Reverend Dr. Sharon transitioned, Reverend Damian said yes to being the spiritual director and senior minister of Inner Faith Ministries, continuing that incredible intention to share and evolve and expand and unfold the knowing of love. So I'm just feeling so blessed and grateful that you are here today, Reverend Damian. Thank you.
My pleasure. You know that.
I know that. And we were having an amazing session before, and then we just both said, this is recording. We need to record right now. So I'm just going to begin by delving in with this idea of prayer and to ask you how prayer has informed your life and how you use prayer now, how that may have changed from your early use of prayer to nowadays.
Let me phrase it this way. People think that by them doing things, they become more spiritual. But the truth is, because we realize spiritual beings, we develop spiritual practices that enhances, and as I said at one time, we evolve, we unfold. And as we have those spiritual practices, we unfold in more joy, unfold in more love, unfold in more unfold in more understanding, unfold in more humility, and on and on. And one of the things that I was talking to you earlier about my doctorate isn't theology. I went to Oral Roberts University and was a fundamental minister and sang with Jim and Tammy on their program. And my wife and I had a lovely church, and we were, us four and no more. Well, we had like 1,500 people, so it wasn't just us four, but people that looked like us and believed like us, okay? And then I went through a divorce, and let's move forward. Things weren't working. And Neil Donald Walsh says this: when things fall apart, let them fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
When things fall apart, don't try to hold on to them. When your career falls apart, don't try to hold on to it. When your friendships fall apart, don't try to hold on to them.
Yeah.
Let them go. Whatever it is, let it go. When we try to hold on to it, we increase the pain in our life. But when we let it go and simply say, dear God, what is the next thing for me? Show me the next thing. Let it unfold. Let me walk in it. Let me leave this with grace. Let me bless it and let it go. Never leave anything without blessing. I bless you and I let you go. People say, look at me, and I go, okay, if it's fear or whatever it is, just say, fear, you no longer serve me. I bless you and I let you go.
Right.
You see, when we bless it and let it go, it has no hold on us anymore. But when we just let it go, it has a way of coming back to us again. So part of my spiritual practice, Laura, is I went and I got my doctorate in spiritual studies. And it was the best thing, well, one of the best things I've ever done. I do a lot of good things. I began to study Buddhism, Islam, the American Indians, and the wind, and the earth. I began to study Taoism. I began to study so many different factions, some of the tribes in Africa, so many different things. And I understood and understand now every single spiritual, whatever you want to call them, love is the key with every single of them. When you boil it down and you boil the soup away, then what's sitting there is love. Right. Every single one of them, no matter what it is. And loving yourself, loving mankind, loving the earth, loving the universe, loving divine intelligence. I have thought of many names.
Right.
Since God is spirit and we're spirit, but God, spirit, you need a father. Hey, Father God. You need a mother, Mother God. You need a burning bush God. Whatever you need, God will appear to you in that need. But understand that even though it's a singular in that realm, it's also bigger than that at the same time.
Yes.
Just to get our little mind going. It's like we that what we're searching for is outside of us.
Mm-hmm.
What we're searching for is inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we go inside, we connect with the inside and the outside.
Yes.
I mean, it's like a magic. So one of the things that I started doing, and I only speak for me, this is my spiritual practice. It doesn't make me any more spiritual. I'm not going to be any more spiritual today than I was yesterday. I'm not going to know God any more today, and you're not either, than you do today. You're not going to do. It's just that spiritual practice enhances what you already have and builds it, makes it stronger, makes it, for me, makes it more real.
Yeah.
So the Islamic religion, they pray 5 times a day. Now, me being a good, well, let's go a little deeper. A good Pentecostal Christian. Thank you so much. I'm not putting that down. We pray for over our food when we eat. Same little prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep at night and say these little prayers, but to really, really pray from our belly button, let's say, as doesn't it doesn't float very much. So I started praying 5 times a day. day, and it's same prayer, and it's sometimes if I'm home, it's on a little prayer rug. If I'm out working, doing something, I will stop and go look at the ocean, or I will look at the sand, I'll look at the seascape. I'll just stop and take a breath and breathe in the essence. Breathe in the essence of God. Because that essence is in us. As long as we have breath, we have purpose. As long as we have breath, we have God in us. And I say this, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. If I have offended or caused offense to anyone, please show me that the universe is self-correcting.
Mm-hmm.
We're self-correcting if we listen. Well, I will tell you, there are times when at 10 o'clock in the morning, I've said that.
Right.
And once you listen, because listen and silence have the same letters, just rearranged different.
Yes, I love that.
And it's when we're silent that we really listen. So I'll stop. And oh, wow, I was kind of snarl in the checkout line at the supermarket about 2 hours ago, wasn't I? Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, the LA freeway. Yeah, I wanted to show somebody they're number one, because of the traffic. And it's in that moment that I understand that spirit knows no time, knows no space. And when we are short like that with people, we are causing an infraction on their spirit.
Right.
And so by recognizing it.
Oh, where have you gone? Oh, Reverend Damian, where are you? We're in the middle of finding out about your book, which sounds so wonderful, so powerful that you're doing this 5 times a day. We're here on New Thought Media Network. Yes, Reverend Damian is going to come back on in a minute or so. And if you are here and watching, then I just want to share a little bit more with you about Reverend Damian. He says, oh, he is. I was just sharing a little bit more about you to the viewers here when you've popped back on. And I just have a question for you that was a good breaking point. I just have a question for you about this prayer that you're repeating 5 times a day.
Yes.
Because it feels to me as if, I know when we use spiritual mind treatment in New Thought, Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes teaches to use the practice of spiritual mind treatment, the 5 steps, where we're recognizing who we are as one with this, we're uniting with this, and then we realize the truth of this. And what I love about what you're doing here with this, with the way that you are using prayer, is not because you are not saying, and I'm declaring this for my life. You are declaring that piece that we were talking about earlier, where we're unlearning the lie by forgiving and having that open and forgiving heart. That instantly opens us up to the new, because it's when we're in that place of lack of forgiveness, I believe, that we can't accept the new that's here. We're not willing to receive it. So this is so beautiful what you're doing. It's like a continual opening and unfolding.
Do you know there's and I study everything. And so if somebody says, what are you? I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And spirit too, I study everything. And one of the things from Course in Miracles talks about the holy instant.
Yeah.
And the holy instant, and I'm going to tell you a quick little story. unholy instant. In 2004, I was caught in the tsunami. I've been on tour for almost 4 years. My business manager, who was like my sister, like a family, she was a family member, felt like, took me for around $800,000, which included my condo and my new Jaguar and all these things. We won't go into detail how it happened, but I came back to the United States at 55 years old and ended up homeless and on the street. Okay. And so one of the things that I'll tell this part of the story. I checked into a trashy motel in Long Beach and walked on the beach and stuff and cried and yelled and screamed. And in the kitchen, I had a little kitchenette. And one day, Spirit speaks to me, and Spirit speaks to me through my mind, through my heart, and says, "Get that sponge over there." So I picked up the sponge and I dabbed it on the little mess. Said, "Run it under the hot water." After I looked at it, you couldn't even see the mess. But when I squeezed it in the hot water, whatever happens when we're in hot water and pressure is who we really are.
Right.
And I realized that I was toxic. I had bitterness, had resentment, I had unforgiveness. I had so many things that through my childhood, some of those things had, we sweep them under the carpet and we smile, "I'm just fine." I'm fine, hi, and never deal with them. And one of the things that was the forgiveness issue. And it's like, okay, what is it? Forgiveness is a gift.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a gift. You don't just, "I forgive you, honey," and kiss, kiss, hug, hug. You don't have to be the friends anymore, but you have to let it go for you.
Yeah.
It's a gift, and for the energy. So I collected cans and bottles while I was homeless, saved the money to buy her a Christmas gift. And I took 3 buses, a train, and 2 other buses to her house and knocked on her front door with her marble entry. She has $1 million of her own. I don't know why she had to do what she did. It doesn't matter. She opened the door, turned white as a sheet, and she said, "Oh," and I said, "I bought two tickets to Circus du Soleil in Las Vegas because I know you like Circus du Soleil. And here they are." And she said, "When are we going?" And I said, "We're not." I said, "This is saying goodbye."
Right.
Now, here's the thing that happened. When I turned to walk out, the holy instance happened. In that moment, all I saw was love for her. I did not see the deed. I did not see the error. I did not see the resentment. And Laura, when I went back to the buses, I skipped, I jumped, I sang, and I got on the train. I skipped and jumped and I sang. And that night, I stayed in the doorway with 2 guys in the on Hollywood Boulevard, and I said to them, "Can I stay with you because I'm homeless?" And one said, "Well, if you're homeless, you're uppity homeless." And they let me stay there. And the next morning, I said to them, "I won't be here tonight because if you're here tonight, then this becomes your home in your consciousness.
Right.
You've got to look like where you're going, not always like where you're at."
Yes.
So what that does for me, this is a life. It's my life. It's not necessarily a teaching. It's not a dogma. It's not a religion. It's how I live my life. And my belief is that we are here to be the expression of God, the expression of love on the planet. And as we realize that is our purpose is the expression of God. And the gifts that we bring with us, it could be vocalist, it could be painter. Those are gifts that help us become that expression. Yes. But as we begin to take our prayer time and we use that as a time of communion, with the inner and the outer. The way I describe the inner outer is this way. We have a big Pacific Ocean here. And the big Pacific Ocean's there. But little rivers run in and they're part of the ocean. This big godness creator is out here, magnificent. And part of that is the little g inside of us. That is the creator and co-creator and manifest things. So in that prayer time, what we do is we join with the bigger, the inner with the outer, the little g and the big G. And it becomes really a oneness that happens. And this also comes into play when we do the collective prayer with one another. That's why it's so important that when we are going to do that prayer energy with somebody, that we make sure that their energy is clean energy.
Yes.
And that, somebody may be saying, oh, would you pray such and such and such? And it may be a malice, it may be a hateful, it may be, you know what I'm talking about?
I absolutely do, yes.
So before we agree with somebody, we need to really do that check and not just say, oh yes, I'm gonna do that. Just go, I will, if it's possible for me to do it.
Right.
And then what I do is when in my private time, I say, dear God, is it possible for me to do this because I'm asking for the highest good of all?
Right.
And if it's not possible, then I'm shutting my mouth right now.
Right. I'm so pleased you've said that because it's a sacred practice. It's not a practice. It's a part of life. It's a part of life for me. It's my life. It's how I live, and it's sacred. And I think for many people, that isn't so. It's not sacred, and that's fine. Prayer isn't sacred. Spiritual practice isn't sacred for many people. And as a way of life that I've chosen for myself, as a spiritual teacher and student, or student first and then teacher, of course, for me, I needed to really honor all of what I do as sacred. And it's not just glib words that come out of my mouth.
Every single thing we do, every single thing either brings us closer or apart. Right. Every single thing. Right. I started the thing a couple of weeks ago because people always say to people, well, God bless you. So I started a couple of weeks ago when people say, God bless you. I'd say, excuse me, exactly what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? I want to know what is their point of reference.
Right.
And so often it's, well, I'm just saying words because that's what you say.
Yes.
And I said, no, words, once a word is spoken, they take on a life all their own. So what is it that we're really saying here? And are you asking the creation, the divine, to bless me? Or are you just kind of lipping something? I said, if you're asking the divine to really bless me, I really accept it. Thank you. But if it's just one of the loud foghorn things, well, and to make people aware of what it is that you say, what is your intention? What do you mean?
Yes.
We are.
Yes. There was a little bit of a lag there. Yes, that's so powerful.
I think that lag was so it could sink in.
Yeah, that's true. We needed to hear it and then watch your lips moving with it. It's like...
hey, do you know what? A lot of times, because I'm a work in progress, just like everybody else is, and sometimes I'll stop and I'll say, okay, I need to listen to one of Dr. Damian Calmett's tapes and see what he's saying about this. And I will go to YouTube and I'll put on one of my own talks and I'll sit there and listen and I'll play it back and I'll go, what is he saying? Because there's Damian Calmett and then there's the Reverend Dr. Damian Calmett. And it's like, okay, that's what he said. Let me hear it. So
yes, and we being open to knowing that I am a work in progress, and I feel so grateful that I have that that willingness to know that I'm what I think I know, I don't know, and I'm continually learning and wanting to get to the core of it. And I think that's with prayer too.
Don't you find that when you realize you're a work in progress, then other people, you just let them be a work in progress?
Yes.
But you think that you've got it all, then you really become judgmental of other people.
And wanting to control. Yes.
Control, manipulate, and dominate. Yes.
And so I want to ask you, Reverend Damian, because I know that you are now senior spiritual director, senior minister for Inner Faith Ministries, that was begun by Reverend Dr. Sharon Stroud, and you have, it's incredible how you've brought your own ministry into that, and you now, you share your teachings that you've been teaching for 4 years online with many, many, many people watching and taking part in what it is that you have to say, and your energy and your consciousness. It's so beautiful. And you were sharing about how you weren't always, you were brought into this with from a religiosity of the Pentecostal church, and a very different. And I wonder how prayer, how that shift from being in that theological, the Pentecostal, how prayer was for you then, and now how you're using prayer 5 times a day with this wonderful intention. What's the difference? And has that difference changed your life in a really powerful way?
To that question, I'll say yes, that part. Before, I was religious, and I understood that spirituality and religion were the same, although they're not. And when we're religious, and when we're religious, so often we're practicing somebody else's belief. We don't know what we believe, because we're practicing grandma's belief, or our family's always been Catholic, and I'm not putting Catholics down. Our family's always been Catholic for as long as I can remember. Or our family's always been Jewish, or our family's always been this, that, and the other thing. Well, the thing is, realizing you're a spiritual being, there's no label. Now, if you want to have a label, go ahead and have a label, but that's not your mainstay. Your mainstay is realizing that you are a spiritual entity as well as a human entity. Now, when that happens, the light bulb comes on. And when the light bulb comes on, I do the five times a day prayer. But you think that's the only time I do it? Girl, if I want to get real Christian-y on it, the Bible says, pray without ceasing.
Yes.
So my life becomes a prayer.
Right.
Every breath I take becomes a prayer. When I see someone on the street in need, there's a prayer. When I see somebody on the street without a need, there's a blessing of prayer. There is a constant awareness. I'll tell you this little story. Before the COVID, I went to this fundamental church that I knew the minister with. And I always refer to God as my best friend. Okay. And that God is my best friend and is always right beside me. And I can always, and the truth is, I always feel this presence around me, in me, but let's say around me here. So I feel this tugging on my inner heart or inner ear, like, what? why are they praying again? What do you mean? Well, they've asked, from God speaking to me, well, they've asked me 5 times to be here. Don't they know that where 2 are gathered, that I'm there? Why are they asking me? Why are they asking me to be there all through this service? I said, it's just religious theater. They have to do something. So, so often, that's what, oh God, will you blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. God says, I'm not hard of hearing. Oh yeah, and you don't have to close your eyes. Maybe if you opened your eyes and saw the beauty in everybody, the flowers, the trees, and in that person that you're looking at, because when I see God in you and you see God in me, there's really only one of us here. If you would do that, maybe you wouldn't be doing the loud and the oh God and the shaka. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yes. And so that shift obviously has changed your life, knowing that you are the light. The light is within you. This light of the divine, the prayer is you. The prayer is who you are. So
it's before I did things before. I did things because if we did things, then we would be more spiritual.
Right.
And I remember I used to pray at the altar and I would cry and cry and cry. Oh God, oh God. Now, I just through the day, oh, thank you, God, for this. Thank you. It's conversation.
Yes.
It's like talking, Laura, it's like talking with you.
And that takes away that feeling that there's a punishment or a blame or we're doing something wrong. I mean, to cry, I'm really interested. Were they tears of joy or tears of pain?
No, they were tears of agony.
Anguish.
That if I did something wrong, okay, dear God, I want to go to the movies, and I know it's sin to go to the movies. Oh, please. Hello. So for me, it's how we're having this conversation. We were having a conversation before. Some of our conversation was very light. Then at times it got very intense. And then it got times when we started correcting some of our verbiage.
Yes.
Okay. But that's the conversation. That's the same type of conversation I have with what I call the godness. Sometimes I need a little bit of the putting on the Ritz kind of thing of good morning, God, what are we going to do today? Blah, 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 blah. And sometimes it's just like, hey, I've got my hair in rollers. Here we are. You keep it real. That's what it is. I
love this because you're giving permission to those that are watching right now to create a deeper relationship with who they are, with who we are. You're giving us permission to have those crazy, wacky conversations, and it doesn't all have to be so serious and so kind of well planned and thought out. I know with the spiritual mind treatment, there are these 5 steps, and I follow the 5 steps, and have I got the words right? Have I said the right piece in the right part and in the right place? And this is not that. This is a deep connection.
So when you're doing that, where's the grace?
Oh, well, I feel that. I mean, I've gone past that really within me now. Okay. I know that I'm just having this wonderful, I just feel so great. And I leave that, or I exit that prayer, if you like, and I'm still in it. It's like, oh, this is great. I feel it. I can feel it in my heart.
Because sometimes I'll stop and say, all right, I didn't get the words right, okay?
Yeah.
That's what grace is all about, okay?
Yeah.
And will and grace too, okay? Because I understand more of the intent.
Yes.
And we can become legalistic.
Yes.
Just as much as those that we refer to as being legalistic and their yada yada. And I think, I don't want to say there's a danger in doing that. I just think there needs to be an awareness
Right.
To it.
Right. And it brings it into the human kind of realm, you know, that we're not having to be these. I'm a practitioner. I'm a science of mind, religious science practitioner. And even if I weren't a practitioner and I practice prayer, I'm doing this from my heart. This is from me opening my heart and having this incredible awareness of this connection, that is this light that is living through me and as me. And for me, when I pray, I ignite that light more and more and more, and it kind of expands more and more in my mind and in my heart. And do you believe that the more that you pray 5 times a day, that you are activating that even more deeply? I mean, could you pray once a day and still feel that you have the same awareness?
For me, I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Because I call it my check-in.
Right.
Okay? I call it my check-in, and like at 10 o'clock is one of my check-ins. Okay? And if I'm home, there's the little rug thing. If I'm not, well, then I'm on the street corner. I'm in my car, wherever it is. Okay? I'm doing the check-in, and I think I already said, creating me a clean heart, renew a right spirit within me. It's a check-in, and the end of that is if I've offended anyone.
Yes.
If I've erred in some way, please let me in this moment know that. And I ask for forgiveness in this moment. And then I shut up and I listen. Because as we've talked about before, silent and listen have the same letters, just rearranged different. And I don't think there's any value in praying loud without listening. Okay, the listening is the key. So when I listen, well, then 10 o'clock in the morning could be something like, you know that lady that you acted snarky to at the supermarket this morning? Oh, yeah. Oh, remember that the gas station attendant that you were impatient with him and kind of gave him a whatever? Because whenever we sow those negative seeds, and those are seeds, then they are implanted somewhere. They don't just go unnoticed. Positivity doesn't go unnoticed. Negativity doesn't go unnoticed. But the thing that I understand is that spirit has no distance, has no space, no time, whatever, can go back and forth from the Crusades to the moon and back. Has no, and spirit, because of me making the amends right then,
Right.
has the opportunity to go to those people and to whatever seed was there.
Right.
To be able to put love in that seed rather than the harshness that I gave.
Yes.
And that's why I do it often, because I mess up often. That's the secret why.
And isn't that so beautiful, that to have that awareness, that you have that awareness, that being perfectly imperfect.
Oh, yes.
Being perfectly imperfect.
Well, the pottery, what is it? The wabi sabi, the Japanese art, when they take the broken pots and they'll take pieces and they will put them together with 14 karat gold. And these pieces become more valuable once they've been broken than they were in their whole state. Now, for us, that 14 karat gold is called love. And as that's strung through the broken pieces, and I say this a lot, it's through the cracks in our life that the light does shine in. It really does.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Through the cracks in our life that the light shines in.
Shines in. Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. So we are here. I'm so blessed. We're here with Reverend Damian Calmett, who is an incredible inspiration for humanity. He shares his message every single Sunday on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all sorts of social media platforms, and you can find him also as the senior minister and spiritual director of Inner Faith Ministries. They're online too, and you can find out more about them by going to the Inner Faith Ministry page. And every Sunday, Reverend Damian shares his message of light so that we can see those cracks and absolutely embrace them rather than thinking that we are at fault because of something or some belief system that we've had. How do you feel, Reverend Damian?
Faulty belief system, faulty
belief system, yes. And how do you feel about that? Because how has prayer, one question I'd like to ask you, how prayer has influenced your idea of you?
My idea of me.
Yeah, maybe there were, those false ideas, beliefs, or feelings of, for me, I know prayer really assists me to know the truth of who I am, and as that, I can see past the lie that I've told myself of not enough.
It's an interesting question, because I've always prayed it's just become more personal and more real. It's not institutionalized something to do.
Yeah.
It's something that I look forward to. And I'm not talking about the 5 times a day one. I'm talking about stopping on the street and Spirit speaking to your heart and mind. And you look across the street and you say, "Dear God, right now, please send somebody to help that person."
Right.
You're so aware of humanity.
Right.
You're so aware that people on this planet are destroying themselves. And you're also aware of this. You're aware of the collective consciousness that prayer brings when 2 people of the positive consciousness can join together. Let me tell you an incident that happened. Washington, D.C., maybe 10 years ago, a certain part of Washington was having a real crime problem. And 100 people throughout Washington, D.C. got together and they said, certain day at 10 in the morning, we're going to agree in our consciousness, because, there's the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. Most people live unconsciously.
Yeah.
And we are going to agree that there's going to be a reduction. Well, within a week, there was a 20% reduction in the crime. Within 2 weeks, there was a 50% reduction in the crimes. Can you imagine that with the thing going on in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, if people would get together in their consciousness, join together in this light, we would be able to put that out like that.
Yes, and there are groups doing that. I know there are incredible individuals that are collecting. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, Marianne does that, a lot. Marianne Williamson.
Yes.
So
and we have Katie Rocks. She's a practitioner, and Geneva. They're communing online every day doing this, and it's so beautiful, because I believe that even that is, it could be worse, what's happening, and the prayers are working. Yes, I do believe that.
So
thank you.
That's the answer I can give you.
That's the answer. And how has that changed your life?
It's given me a life.
Yes.
It's given me a life from the inside out.
Right.
That's the only way I can put it.
Beginning within. And how would you, for anyone that's watching and listening in this moment that may not feel like they're ready, or they want to, but they're not sure, or don't trust, or don't have faith because they can see a different kind of thing going on, and may not feel confident to go within, what would you say right now, Reverend Damian, to them?
Go within with something small.
Right.
Only one thing. Don't try to go within. Don't try to change your life.
Right.
Take perhaps a word such as joy.
Yes.
And take that word and think it through, talk it through. That be your word for the day.
Yes.
Okay. And then take another word the next day. Just little tiny things.
Yes.
At home, Dr. Emoto did this study of water, right?
Yes.
And in the late 90s, and
Oh, he's gone. He'll come back. Dr. Emoto did the study of water, yes. And that study was incredible because it really did show that a feeling and a knowing such as love can actually change the molecular structure of water as it froze into ice. And I think that's what he's going to continue talking about. Reverend Damian is an incredible teacher and speaker, and if you go to his website, it says here, never say anything that you don't want to be true for yourself. I was just quoting something from your website. Yes.
So Dr. Moto did this study of water, and they put it under microscopes. And when you said a prayer to it, it crystallized a certain way.
Yes.
When you cursed it, it crystallized a certain way, and all these different things. So one of my other practices that I do is when I buy my water for the month, I go home and I write words: joy, peace, love, happiness, health, all these words. And then I cut them down. I tape them to the water bottles.
Wow. I love that.
Then I put the water bottles in the refrigerator, and in the morning I reach in. I don't look. I just reach in and grab the water bottle that is right for me that day.
Yes.
Because we're 80%. We're 80% water.
Water.
Right. 80% water. Joy, and I drink it. I say, "Let joy flow through me, in me, out of me. Let me see joy in every face I see today." And joy becomes my word for that day. Now, the next day, it may be excitement, it may be peace, maybe faith, whatever it is. That is my concentration for that. I see every cell of my body loving and healing every other cell.
So powerful, because I think so often we can get caught up into trying to make spiritual practice something overcomplicated, something out of reach, something impossible, and then forget to do it or can't, process it. And this is so powerful because it just brings it back to the simplest thing: joy, knowing joy, meditating on joy, contemplating joy, and then love, and then peace, the qualities of the divine that Thomas Troward.
Your meditation in the morning does not have to be sitting cross-legged.
No.
It could be, I was telling somebody yesterday, I said, in the mornings I get up and I take a shower and I wash off yesterday's dirt. In the mornings, I do a meditation to cleanse the mind.
Yes.
So that I can be fresh for today, for the thoughts, for the God thoughts to be there.
Yes.
So, and that's part of prayer too.
That's part of prayer too. Absolutely. Cleansing away. And I think I'm just really hearing from you. It's this unlearning, it's this washing away, cleansing, coming from a clean slate, surrendering, forgiving, being in that place where there's a space. There's a space for love to come in, because when we're tightened and clenched in that place of unforgiveness, there is no place. There is no place for love. And so often we hold on to that unconsciously and in our subconscious, we're holding on.
There's a line from the Course in Miracles that says this: our job is not to seek love. Our job is to seek to remove all barriers and blockages that keep us from knowing and giving and receiving love. So answer to the prayer thing, how has it changed? I seek daily to remove all barriers, all blockages that keep me from knowing any kind of love.
It's beautiful. Can you repeat that again? Can you please repeat the Course in Miracles?
The Course in Miracles has a line, and it says this: our job is not to seek love. Our job is to seek to remove all barriers and all blockages that keep us from knowing and giving and receiving love. Yes.
Yes.
And so it is.
And so it is. And I'd like to ask you, before we come to the end of this conversation, and I know it's not going to be the end of any conversation, but for this particular broadcast, if you could, for a few minutes, guide us through your prayer, the prayer that you practice 5 times a day. If you could just guide us through that, and then we could maybe sit for 30 seconds after that in the silence with you. That would be beautiful.
Dear God of many names, create in me, in this moment, a clean heart. Renew a right spirit within me. If I have offended anyone, if I had erred in any way to anyone or myself in my thinking, let my right thinking be restored now, and I ask for forgiveness.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Damian.
The pleasure's all mine.
Thank you so much for being here and for sharing.
I've enjoyed being on your program today.
Oh, and I have enjoyed, and I'm certain that everyone that this reaches at whatever point, whether it's now or in the future, is moved and touched by you and what you do and your work. And I'm going to say this now for those of you that are here, reach out to Reverend Damian. You can find him on his website, damiancalmett.online, and you can see all of the work that he's doing in this world. Amazing work to really help people and assist people on their way home to love. And also Inner Faith Ministries, of course, and Reverend Damian's broadcast. And now with Damian, every Sunday, you can hear him speaking, teaching, sharing as he shows us how we can unfold within ourselves to that incredible place that's always here, which is the love in our hearts. Thank you, Reverend Damian. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for watching here on New Thought Media Network. Of course, this is an incredible global focused ministry, bringing so many programs every single day of the week to you. I'm going to pop up the website there that you can see the donate button. If this is what you love, then of course you are welcome to leave your donation, love offering, gifting consciousness, whatever it is you want to call it. Be in the flow here with the network, and we appreciate that. And we appreciate and love you. So until next time on the Cosmic Prayer, love and blessings to everybody. And thank you again, Damian, for sharing from your heart today. So much love. Thank you.